If you've already come to understand and appreciate that liver is the most nutritious food on the planet, and you just can't stand the taste, or you can tolerate it, but you just wish in some other world it could taste better than it does, then this video is for you. Hi, I'm Dr. Chris Masterjohn of chrismasterjohnphd.com, and you are watching Chris Masterjohn Light, where the name of the game is details, schmeetails, just tell me what works. And today we're going to talk about 5 ways to make liver taste better. Now, in the last video, I told you 5 ways to eat enough liver. 4 of those ways were ways that were either easier, more convenient, or milder tasting than cooking fresh liver. Today we're going to zero in on that first way of cooking your own fresh liver. And we're going to assume you're cooking fresh liver. What can you do to make it taste as good as it possibly can? This is not a recipe, it's a list of core principles that you can apply to any recipe to get the most you can out of the enjoyment of that meal. So principle number 1, you want to find the right species of liver. A lot of people ask about the differences in nutrition between different livers. Well, there's something to be said for that, but the only liver that's going to give you good nutrition is the liver that you enjoy enough to eat it sustainably. And in that sense, you really want to think about the taste and texture. So I personally have found that beef liver tastes too strong, and that chicken liver and lamb liver don't have the right texture. They're either too mushy or they don't have the right integrity. So I've always enjoyed bison liver the most. Now, you're not necessarily going to get the same mileage that I am, but you should experiment with some different species of liver to see which one you like the taste and texture of the best. And when you find that one, go with that. Principle number 2 is you want to get the liver as fresh as you possibly can. So never, ever, ever buy liver that's in the refrigerator in a grocery store. That liver is already going bad. In the ideal world, what you would want to do is get it fresh from a butcher when it was slaughtered that day. If you can do that, that is awesome. The next best thing is to buy liver in its frozen state when the company had frozen it as fast as possible after slaughter and processing. For me, since I've always loved bison liver, I've purchased mine from North Star Bison. It's always been delivered fully frozen, and I've always been satisfied with the freshness of it once I thaw it out. A member of our community, Catherine Morrison, recommended White Oak Pastures as a source of fresh liver. White Oak Pastures is one of the 2 farms in the United States that slaughters and processes their meat in their own facility. And that means that they're able to freeze it in the freshest state possible. The fresher the liver is, the better it's going to taste. Now, principle number 3 is that once you have the liver, you have to keep it fresh as good as you can. And that means that it's either going to be in your freezer or it's going to be thawing out in your refrigerator and cooked soon after. And you should never be thawing out more than you're going to eat in one sitting. So what I do is I don't thaw the liver, but I partially thaw it so that it's mostly still frozen, but it's just soft enough to cut through with a little elbow grease with a knife. And I cut it into portions that I'll eat in one sitting, and I refreeze it so that I never have more than I'm going to eat at one time thawing out in the refrigerator. Principle number 4 is you want to marinate it in something that's going to preserve the sensitive compounds to prevent cooking from generating too intense of a flavor. And that can be something acidic like lemon juice or wine vinegar, or it can be milk. When you marinate it, you want to marinate it at least for a couple hours, and you might want to marinate it overnight. Principle number 5 is to cut it as thinly as possible and to cook it as lightly as possible. The larger the size of the bites of liver you have, the more likely it is to stimulate your gag reflex. And at the same time, if you cut it thinly, it's very easy to overcook it. and overcooking liver really brings out the flavors that people don't like. So cut it very thinly and cook it for no more than a minute on each side. Now, with those 5 principles, what you want to do is use a recipe you like, and that's going to vary from person to person. All right, I hope you found this useful. Signing off, this is Chris Masterjohn of chrismasterjohnphd.com, and I will see you in the next video.